Okay, what's up, everybody? Bobby Gray here. Welcome to week 101 or week one of the future of TEXITcoin. Let's record. I forgot to record last time. Regretted it. Here we go. Order
Recording
about.
in progress.
There we go. Good morning or good evening to my friends in the world of TEXITcoin. Bobby Gray here, your founder and fearless leader. As always, joining you live on a Tuesday. Thank you very much for letting me adjust the time to be a little bit more kind to my current time zone. I'm here in Singapore, having my second cup of coffee and joining you, my favorite people on planet Earth, the people that took a risk to take a journey with me on this adventure in digital honest money. Thank you. Gage is out there as my co-host. Feel free to unmute and/or unhide yourself and tune in because today we're just here to chat. Today we're just here to have a little bit of I don't know, a proof of life and a support group. A lot is going on in the world these days, and you got to know that we're here for you and each other. It's crazy times, guys. Crazy times. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being flexible. And welcome to the 277 people that are on this call. Reminder, if you're in Texas, you're not supposed to be here. I can't force you to disconnect, but I can tell you that as a reminder, we are under a cease and desist at the moment right now. When I say we, I mean me, Texit Coin, MineTXE, and Blockchain Mint are under a Texas cease and desist to not offer or sell or something securities in the state of Texas. And so, pretty pleased with sugar on top. Do not take anything that we're talking about here as financial advice or an offer for you to buy a security, which I don't think we are. But be that as it may, thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. I've told you guys a bunch of times that this project is my passion. It's my life's work. It's the last thing that ever going to do. If I'm not able to successfully bring honest money to Texans and our friends across the states and the world through this project, I'm done. You'll find me sleeping under a bridge somewhere, or you will find me on a farm or hiding in the woods or something. This is what I do. It's what I love to do. It's what I enjoy to do through thick and thin, better or worse, till death do us part. Where's my ring? I was gonna say, better have my ring on while I say bold things like this. But anyway, the point of us getting together here today is not so much to talk about um, anything other than a couple updates for you guys and just be here. Just be here for each other. We said that as we were doing this project, it was important for us to make some money, have some fun, and build a community. And the community that we've put together is pretty awesome. We've got some really great people in our community, people that have helped with advice, people that have helped with reputation management, people that have helped combat the online trolls. We've got some really cool people in our community, and and I appreciate and value so many of you. And I appreciate that you've taken time out of your evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you may be, to join for a quick update. Normally these calls can sometimes go on for hours and hours. We get into the nitty-gritty of everything, and we'll do some of that tonight as well. I've got time. I am also getting a phone call. Sorry. I've got time to go over some stuff. I'm not going to answer every single question. Um, Hold on one second here. Let's tell the person that's calling that I'm on a Zoom. I'm not going to go through in excruciating detail the ins and the outs, the nuts and the bolts of every single thing that's happening on planet Earth. But I am here for us, and I will answer some questions to the best of my ability. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here to make sure you guys know I'm still alive. I'm still just as committed today as I ever have been for the success of our project. Um, Nothing has changed. Nothing. Nothing has changed. In fact, I would say that I'm even more excited about it Not foolishly, not delusionally, not anything. I can tell you a little bit about why. But look, guys, we set out to do a thing. We got 30% of the way towards the goal that we set. We made a lot of progress. Did we get 100%? No. Do we need to be at 100% for our project of honest money, digital honest money to be successful? No. Is there an opportunity for lots and lots of growth and continued, network build out as we get cooking and the price recovers? Sure, of course there is. Um, so there's a lot coming still, and I don't think that measuring by any standard, we should call this project a failure. I think that we've done so much in such a little amount of time, and the project continues. Um, Changed a little bit. Some of it temporary, some of it permanent, but focused, which is a really cool thing. So let's get into some of that tonight and see where we end up in the next little bit. Okay, so first of all, I want to give you guys a quick legal update. And there's not much to talk about in the realm of the legal update. We are still at this moment waiting for a confirmation from the State Office of Administrative Hearings. That's the judicial process that we go through. It's not like a traditional court hearing where everybody could, show up and hang out and enjoy the proceedings in like a TV style courtroom. It's an administrative hearing that goes in front of a panel of administrative judges, from what I understand. And we are still at this moment right now waiting for a confirmation of exactly when that's going to happen. Best guesses and best estimates at this point put it at August 2026, at least 2026. And so that's the current latest that we've got. We were hoping to have it sometime not before June because we need time to prep. It looks like it's going to happen in August, but we're still waiting again for confirmation for that. Other than that, there's no update. No news is good news. Nobody has accused us of violating our cease and desist. I've been overseas since this whole thing went down, and so uh, I've got very limited ability to actually violate the cease and desist. But again, it's been quiet, and we've got a great legal team that's hot on the trail of pointing out the things that we think that the regulators may have missed in our case, and are eager to bring those things to their attention and help get this whole thing resolved. I want to remind everybody about something really, really, really important. Um, all the things that we're going through right now, they're all civil. We don't have any criminal accusations. We don't have any criminal matters that we're dealing with. There's an allegation of fraud in the cease and desist, but the fraud is related to the unlicensed um, promotion or sale or whatever of the security. I don't remember the exact words off the top of my head, but the alleged security. And so, as our attorneys pointed out in the letter that they sent in to request the hearing, let me see if I can find the letter here. We're not talking about misappropriation of funds. We're not talking about, um, you know, where are the things? We're not talking about misleading or fake statements. We're not talking about any kind of thing that would have resulted in the doors getting kicked in, people getting arrested, assets being seized and frozen. Now we are dealing with some of that, but it's not related to a criminal thing. They want you to feel like criminals. Now, who's they? Well, it could be the regulators, but let's go easy on them. Their job is to protect investors in Texas. But the trolls, it's really the trolls. Oh, LOL, criminal this, blah, blah. Guys, take a deep breath. We're working through something that's a civil matter. And that's really important for you to remember because again, they, quote unquote, want you to feel like we've done something really terribly wrong, lied, cheated, stolen, and we haven't. When we set out to start this project, we knew we were getting into some really, 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 challenging areas of things. Crypto, crypto is full of scams. It's full of regulatory, um, you know, opacity. MLM, network marketing, it's full of scams. It's full of bad actors. So we set out to accomplish something really great and spectacular in industries that are full of confusion, full of misinformation, full of, scams and fly-by-nights and get-rich-quick schemes and all that stuff. You and I both know that that's never what this project was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an effort to bring together people and computing power and currencies and all that stuff so that we could um, follow through on Bitcoin's original promise of digital, decentralized, peer-to-peer money, money that puts, the control of value back in the hands of the people that use it. That's what we set out to do. And so again, if you look at that cease and desist, you won't find those kind of statements. You can read our response to it, and you'll see that we point out that that's not there. And so, be that as it may, that is the legal update. We are still waiting for our hearing confirmation. I will keep you guys in the loop on that stuff. There are some things that the attorneys have asked me, nothing special, to keep confidential. Like we did get the evidence file back from the state. I'm not allowed to share that with you. And so there are a couple things that unfortunately I'm not going to share, but most of the stuff I will share, and I'll try to get onto our website as well now that we got the new website going. Um, and it's looking much better than what we had before. So that's the status for the legal realm at the moment. And we will continue to move forward on our projects cautiously and in some sort of manner that allows us to steer clear of additional trouble. Um, Okay, so what is hot right now? Well, a couple things are hot right now. First and foremost, the network is red hot. And that's really what I want us to talk about the most. As miners of TEXITcoin, it's our job to protect and to safeguard the network. And as you guys know, almost as well as I do, we've had some problems. We've had some network issues. And I want to show you a couple things here to kind of bring you up to speed on what's going on in regards to the network and the network issues. But this is where I go to monitor some of it, and then I monitor some of it on mempool.texitcoin.org. And so these two sites, the Explorer and the mempool, are where I go to monitor what's happening with our network. And like I said, guys, this is really like our thing. We talk about promotions, we talk about performance and sales. We don't talk about those things anymore because, of course, all that stuff is frozen. Um, but what we talk about here is the mine. We're miners, so we should be talking about the mine. We should be talking about the network. We should be talking about that stuff because it's really the heart and the backbone of trust of our currency. And it's our job to make sure that our network is running well. And so the places that we go to monitor these things are the mempool and the Explorer. And I'll show you kind of the difference between the two and the similarities between the two so you can see what I'm looking at from my perspective. And so when I look at the mempool, what it does very quickly is it shows me the time of the previous block. And we're supposed to get a block about every 3 minutes. In fact, if you go over and look at the same thing for Iscander, you can see that Iscander runs much more reliably than TEXITcoin does. We're getting an average block here every 3.5 minutes. And so you can look at these two things and say, okay, well, 28 minutes ago, we got our last block for TXC. Before that, it was, a minute. And then before that, it was another 34 minutes. Before that, it was an hour. Then we had a bunch come out, like we don't know exactly when these things came out. But what we were talking about is the consistency and the reliability of our chain. And you can see on Iskander, obviously, it is much more consistent. And um, and there are a couple reasons for that. The reasons for that are the mining difficulty and the mining connection with the pool. And so if we go to the pool, you can see, or sorry, not that page. We can go to, where are we going here? We're going to um, the Explorer.Iskander. Iskander Block Explorer. There we go. And so if we go to the block explorer for Iscander, you can see that the mining hash power range, we've only got one mine plugged in right now to this. And it's running a little low at the moment. It's running at 1.8. It was up to 2.6, but it's been pretty good at averaging itself in like the 2.1, 2.2 range. And that's exactly where it's supposed to be for for what it has plugged in right now. And what happens is when this hash power stays kind of inside of this tight range, and it's not real easy to see it right now because the chart looks a particular way. I'll show you where it was a lot easier to see it. If you take a look at, let me see if I can find my screen for Telegram. If we take a look at, there we go. If we take a look at um, this conversation I was having with a blockchain developer, you can see when you zoom out on the chart a little bit, this is really what we were getting when we were running with a single DG Home 1 miner plugged into the Iscander network. And then we plugged into an L9 to that network as well, which should have jumped our hash power from 2.1, which you can see it was pretty reliable there at 2.1, all the way up to 16.5 on top of it, which would have given us 18.6. But the network was really only running here at like, 10, 11, 12 gigahash. And so as we're going through and debugging this stuff, we're looking at those kind of charts and trying to figure out why we're struggling with network performance on the mine. And so we've really got three things right now that are major issues. Let's say four things that are major issues right now in the realm of mining. Number one is the problem that we were wrestling with somebody mining out of the side of our pool. We talked about last week how, we've got this permission mining set up, and for almost 2 years now, it's done exactly what we wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, somebody popped up and started taking coins out of the side of our pool. It means they got a copy of our code, they reverse engineered it, they added back in the things that we removed out, they got a copy of the key that you need in order to access the network from, either the desktop wallet or somebody that has a copy of it for one of the exchanges that's operating on our chain. And so, however they did it, they pulled it off, they reverse engineered it. And so now we've got a new fix that actually goes live at block 20. Let's see what it is. It is going to go live at block 267500. So in 138 blocks, we have a major upgrade for the network going down. And we've had to alert all of our exchange partners that are using a full node and have them upgrade that node. And so with that upgrade that happens at block 267500, our network will no longer accept mine blocks that attempt to pay out to an address that's outside of our network that we control. And so that's a really important thing that's going on right now. And you guys can monitor that progress as we get closer. So within 138 blocks, oh, there we go. A new block just came out 12 minutes ago. So as we get to that 267500, we'll have a network upgrade. And if we look at any one of these blocks, you can see exactly what's happening in there. This is new coins getting generated. And I want to bring your attention to this address as well, because we updated the mine to pay out specifically to this new address. And so now this is the only address that the mine is going to pay out to. And so all the new coins that are generated from the TXC mine get paid out to this one address, and the system then automatically distributes it to all of the miners proportionally based on your hash power. And you can see that here. Okay, so what are all of these extra coins? These are coins that are escrowed for people that have yet to link their cold storage wallet or their account to their mining. And so you can see there's probably, what is that, 350, 400,000 TXC that's still sitting in this escrow wallet waiting for people to log into their accounts and, link the cold storage wallet that they got in the mail with their welcome kit to the mining output that they've accrued so that we can clear all this out and get it down to a point. I think we started with something like, 50,000 coins in there. But again, you can see what's happening. That sound, by the way, is another block. Every time that sound happens, it's another block being mined, which is good. We want them to happen. We want to get to that 267,500 number. Anyway, so this is where the coins go from the mine, and then they are systematically distributed to all of the miners in multiple transactions because there are quite a few transactions now. And that'll get even more exciting as we add Iscander stuff into this same system as well. But that's what we're looking at. And so, a couple things to remember. First of all, the address that the mine pays out to now has been updated to this TDAX, an easy one to remember there. And the miner that's getting coins outside of our pool, which is against our rules, and we've got to cover those costs, should be going away at block 267,500. And so we're now 135 coins, or sorry, blocks away from that major network upgrade. And so one thing that you may have seen or noticed was some of the exchanges issuing deposit and withdrawal holds on TXC. And the reason for that is because when you go through a network upgrade, they turn those things off so that they can upgrade the systems easily. And then they turn them back on once the upgrade is complete and everything's working properly. So if you see any kind of notifications come out from exchanges, it's because the network is going through that upgrade. And the upgrade is already programmed. It's already in the code. We just have to distribute the new code to all the miners because once we hit block 267,500, the code that they have stops working. It's kind of like a fork in traditional blockchain terms. But again, since we control all the nodes, we have the ability to make these important changes to keep the network doing what we want it to do. So that is what we want. We want all of the coins to be distributed only to the miners that have gone through the front door. And in order to make that happen, we did find a fix that we think that we really like, and that'll go into effect sometime in the next half day. I mean, the blocks are coming out very, very slowly right now. The network is working, transactions are processing. It's just not incredibly reliable, which is one of the things we talked about from day one. We've got to build a network that's reliable. Well, what's wrong? Well, we're working through it. But that's number one. Number two is we need to deal with that reliability problem. And we know what the problem is. The L9s are getting kicked off of our mining pool. Now, we saw the same thing happening with the Iscander network, and it was kind of a nice thing to be able to diagnose some of these network problems with Iscander because it was brand new. Brand new. We didn't have miners plugged in multiple places with big tubs and big power and all that stuff. And so we had the ability to kind of test some stuff on Iscander, and we found out that the mining pool server was kicking the DG Home 1 off the network about every minute. And so when the miner gets kicked out of the network, it shuts down and it goes, well, what's wrong? Let me try to connect again, and then it reconnects. But every time that connection breaks, the hash power drops. And so we found out how to fix that problem for the DG Home 1s. We're still looking for the solution on how to fix that problem with the L9s. And so as we get that problem fixed, we're quite sure that it'll result in a more consistent production of blocks and no more of this really wild, all over the place hash power stuff. What you got to remember is that we've got right now, quite a few. Let me see if I can pull my calculator up. We've got quite a few, L9s active. We've got 400 active in Conroe. We've got 48 in Mansfield, and we've got 24 in McKinney. You multiply that by 16,500 megahash, and our network should be operating at least at a very consistent 7.78 million gigahash. Well, megahash. 7,788 gigahash or 7.788 million megahash. And so as you look at this network hash rate chart, you're seeing it all over the place. I mean, it's been as low as like 3,000 and as high recently as 6,000 something something. And so what we got to figure out, and we've got good people working on it, what we've got to figure out is why these L9s are getting kicked off the network Then they got to reboot, they got to reconnect. They're usually down for like 30 minutes until they come back up and start hashing again. And so once we get that figured out, we're expecting a much more consistent hash power and a hash power number on the website that actually shows and indicates exactly what's installed and running right now. And so that's problem number two that we're working on when it comes to network stuff. And again, this is about showing you the actual hash power that's installed and running, and it's about getting the blocks to come out much more consistently. And that's really important, guys. Very important for network quality as we start getting more into phase two and rolling these things out in situations where people are counting on consistency from the network. Now, remember, as transactions are created, they go into the mempool. Let me see if I can share my screen and show you what I'm talking about here with the mempool. So again, same thing, go back into the mempool, and the mempool will show you all of the transactions that are sitting there and waiting. Right now, there are no transactions waiting. And so, in the previous block, there was only one transaction. That one transaction was for new coins. And so when our network's not incredibly busy, it's not a real big deal if transactions have to sit in the mempool for a while and wait until they get processed. But here, I think this is probably the mine paying out because these are big blocks of transactions. But here you can see that, this is our block size, and this is all the transactions, all 147 transactions that made up this block. And so if these transactions don't go through and they don't get jammed up into a block, they sit there and they wait in the mempool. And I wonder if we can find like maybe a Bitcoin mempool explorer to actually show you how this happens. Bitcoin mempool. Let's see if this will show you what happens on a big network once it gets really busy. Okay, so there you go. So check out all of these blocks that have yet to be mined and confirmed. 2,791 transactions in the mempool. And this is the mempool that's constantly in flux. These blocks are getting built and arranged and rearranged, and you can see that their block is almost full. Their block is almost full of transactions. Well, what happens if the block gets full and can't accommodate any more transactions? Well, whatever transactions don't fit into this block have to wait for the next block. And so you can see there in the next block, we've got a bunch of transactions filling it up already. And the next one, you got 72. So all of these transactions are here on standby in the mempool, just waiting to get processed. Check out what's going on here. 18,700 and 18,800 transactions are sitting in this block that's expected not to get confirmed for like more than an hour. And so you think our network is running a little clumpy right now. Take a look at what happens in the Bitcoin network. They've got 18,000 plus unconfirmed transactions. Okay, so what's going on? Well, remember that the transactions get prioritized based on how much you want to pay for a transaction fee. And so the total fees that are included in this block right now are 580 bucks. And so the people that pay higher fees are going to get their transactions processed more quickly. All right, well, if you're trying to buy a cup of coffee and you don't want to pay a $53 fee for that, well, then your cup of coffee transaction might have to wait for an hour or two until the network quiets down to the point where it's able to process that transaction for the price that you're willing to pay. And so this is like kind of like blockchain 101. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of cool that we have the ability to watch it happen in real time. But again, that's what you get with the world's most honest and transparent monetary system. You can really see your money at work, on standby, waiting to go through, unconfirmed. It happens with Bitcoin and it happens the same way with our network. Now, it should happen much more reliably and consistently with our network, but it's not right now because of problem number two, which is our network is kicking out the L9s and they're having to reboot and reconnect. So we're working on that now. Okay, problem number three. This is actually kind of a cool one. When we started this project, we learned we didn't know about merge mining. We knew that we were going to build a mine. We knew that it was going to be expensive. We knew it was going to eat up a lot of power. And then we found out about merge mining. Somebody said, why aren't you merge mining? If you're on Scrypt, you could mine Litecoin and Doge at the same time that you're mining TXE. Really? So we get two for one or three for one or more than one for one? Wow, what a great concept. That's when we learned about merge mining. We learned about the ability for our mine to actually be mining other coins while it's also running the transactions on the TXC blockchain. So we set out to figure out how to do it. Remember, this is layer one. We're building all of this stuff from scratch, from the ground up. We're using tools and code bases that we find and come across, but we've got to, customize and accommodate those things to work for our chain. Some of them are pretty easy, like the mempools and the explorers, change a couple settings here and there. Voila, it works. Some of those things are really tough, like what we had to do with the layer two, like what we have to do with merge mining. And so um, when we set out to figure out the merge mining process, we started merge mining Litecoin. We made that decision back then. Litecoin and TEXITcoin or Litecoin and Dogecoin were about the same in terms of difficulty, the same in terms of reward and value. And so we set up our network to mine Litecoin and we set it up to mine TEXITcoin. And it works. It doesn't work incredibly well because, again, every minute or so, our miners are kicked off the network. And this only became really apparent to us in the last month or so as our electric bill 10x'd when we set up the additional containers in Conroe. So we're learning, we're figuring these things out. And we started getting into kind of the math of it and the calculations. And it became really, really clear and apparent that we chose unwisely when we started mining Litecoin as our merge mine partner as opposed to Dogecoin. And we did the math, and it looks like if we were mining Dogecoin and TEXITcoin instead of Litecoin and TEXITcoin, we'd be getting about 6 times the financial benefit from that mining output with Doge. So lesson learned on that one. We're still bringing in some money to help offset the electric bill with Litecoin, but first of all, we're only mining Litecoin along with TXC, whereas we should be mining Litecoin and Dogecoin. Number one. Number two is if we chose Dogecoin, obviously Doge has jumped a whole lot since we started this project. We'd be getting about 5 or 6x as much benefit. So right now the race is on to figure out once and for all how to merge mine multiple coins, not just two coins. So we want to be able to do 3 or 4 or 5. And we know that it's possible. We know that kind of what we need to do it. We've just haven't had the time to focus on it because we were dealing with problem number one, which was somebody mining out of the side of our pool. And so the next problem is to get our mine to the point where it's running much more efficiently, producing blocks more regularly and consistently, and then it's merge mining more than two coins. And that's a big step forward for us, not just because of, helping offset our electric bill, every dollar counts, but also because we want to be able to merge mine TEXITcoin and Iscander together. And so we're hot on the trail for that solution as well, and hope to have progress update for you on next week's call as to how we're doing with that. So that's problem number three. Problem number three is we need to start merge mining more than just a second coin. We need to merge mine Litecoin, TEXITcoin, Dogecoin, and Iscander coin together with one network infrastructure. And so that's the third thing that we're dealing with in terms of the network stuff. And then the fourth thing, what was the fourth thing? Oh, the fourth thing is more mining sites. And so right now we've got 3 sites online. We've got McKinney, we've got Mansfield, and we've got Conroe. We're waiting for the new transformer, which we've bought and paid a deposit for, to arrive to get the Victoria site online. And that'll give us a fourth site operating. And then after that, on March 9th, which is just about a week from now, we've got 4 more containers showing up. We had 3 containers and one indoor, I can't remember what it's called, BC40? No, that's the containers. We've got 4 more containers showing up on March 9th. We've got all the mining L9s purchased to be able to stuff these things all the way full. And so right now we've got 3 sites. We've got a possibility to improve the Victoria site. We've got a Bluffdale site and we've got a Gonzales site. Oh, and also a Fort Worth site that we're evaluating for these next 4 containers. Now, if you remember, the original goal was to set up 35 sites using 35 megawatts of power scattered around the state. That goal is now changing a little bit. We've talked about, the hows and the whys of this before, but there are really 2 things about it. Number one is we have to take a real solid look at cost and timeline now. It's very important, given everything that's happening right now in our world, to get the mining online. We've sold it, we've bought it, we've paid for it, we've received the miners, and now we've got to get those miners in the soup, plug them in, get them connected to the network, get our network more reliably creating these blocks, and start mining other coins. So it's a comprehensive effort that brings all that stuff together. Once we figure out how to mine multiple coins, Litecoin, Doge, and others, our mining's actually probably going to be profitable. Right now we're losing money and having, to also chip in cash to pay that electric bill. But once we figure out these other things, we should be profitably mining, which is very exciting. Um, and so that's a top priority right now. But to get these miners installed is a very high priority. Why? Because at some point I'm going to have to go and explain that I took money from people, I bought mining equipment, I got the mining equipment, and then ultimately I installed the mining equipment and followed through on what I said I was going to do. It's very important. We've talked about that for a long time. That's no different today than it's been over the last 2 years. So um, then, alongside of that, we're looking at now that we have in our sites the ability to profitably mine, we're looking at the idea of getting many, many, many more home miners out there scattered across the state. Remember, every time we have a home miner, it makes our network more redundant, more reliable. It scatters that hash power across a larger area. So instead of having everything centralized in 35 sites with 35 power switches, we can scatter this stuff across thousands of sites in the state. And as we have merge mining figured out with multiple coins, including Doge, we have the ability to do that actually profitably. And so, originally the incentive was, hey, plug this in, help secure our network. Thank you. Will I make any money on it? We don't know. We're still figuring it out. To, hey, plug this thing in, make some money off it, and help secure our network. And that's ultimately what we want. So we can come back to our friends in Texas and ship out more mines to people all over the state. That helps protect our network. It gives you some extra spending cash in your pocket as we get these other mine or other coins figured out with merge mining. And it also takes some of the focus and attention off of the idea that we might put the majority of the current sold hash power inside of 4 or 5 sites or 6 sites, depending on exactly what comes together in the next couple of weeks. But we've got 4 more containers. We have enough mines to fill all 4 of those containers, and we need to get them installed as quickly as we possibly can to follow through on one of the basic promises of the project, which is we're going to build the mine. So we may have to modify that strategy. The challenge with 35 sites is that finding and developing the sites is time consuming and it's incredibly difficult now because transformers are really hard to come by. And buying 1 megawatt transformers is kind of not what the industry is making right now. They're making huge transformers for these, gigantic AI and data center installations. And so when we come along, we say, hey, we just need one. They kind of laugh at us and tell us that we're going to have to wait 6 months and pay top dollar for it. When you start looking at 2.5 or 5 megawatt transformers, they become actually a little bit easier to get and a lot more cost effective. And so, remember, guys, we set out. We had some knowns, we had some known unknowns, we had some unknown unknowns. I don't remember how the rest of the phrase goes. Um, but we're learning as we go, and we're sticking to many of our rules. We're changing some of the things to accommodate the developing circumstances of our community and our network. And we're sharing those things with you first so that you know exactly what's going on up here and what's happening out there in the field. But I am confident that in the next couple of days, we will have our next site picked out, possibly even a site that'll be home for the next 4 containers. If we find a site with 5 megawatts of power, we can park 4 containers there, knock it all out. And as we have, 7 containers up and running, 4 times, sorry, let's go 7. Well, let's go 6 because Victoria's not online yet. 6 times 200 is obviously 1,200. 200 ASICs per container. If we have 4 going and the 2 in Conroe, add in the 48 that we've got in Mansfield and the 24 in McKinney, that puts us at 1,272 that'll be installed. Multiply that by 16,500 megahash, and we get to 20,988,000 megahash. Then we get Victoria online and we add another, what is that, 3.3 million, 330,000,000, and voila, we're at 24.2 million megahash, which is more than we've sold, and that's the goal. The goal is to get the network running at a spot where it's above what we've sold, which is a top priority for us. Then we've got another indoor unit that'll have to wait until we have the right location for that. So that's what's happening in the world of mining. And remember, this is a miners chat, so we should be talking about mining type stuff as we get together on these chats. If you got questions about that, pop them in. I think we have a Q&A going on today. Maybe we do. So please pop those questions in there, and I will do the best to answer all that I can. Okay, what else do I have on my list to talk about tonight? I think that might be, oh, okay, so a couple other things. Excuse me. A couple other important things, and these are really important and kind of pivotal as well. I started this project, and I had a couple basic, um, kind of fundamental um, components, premises that we're going to create the bedrock of how we got to where we are today. And the number one thing that I would say that I valued, you valued, and what got us to where we are today is transparency. And, for better, for worse, the good, the bad, all the stuff, over the last 100+ weeks, we've gotten together and we've talked about. And I think that a lot of you value that. I think a lot of you guys look at it and say, well, okay, you know, this is a real project and the guy's being upfront with us, which is great. So that's wonderful. I think that's really what set us apart from everything else that's out there. But I will tell you that a lot of people have complained that we've probably been too transparent along the journey. And I think that's right. I think that we have gone well over and above what, would be reasonably expected of a, kind of an emerging market type of product and project. Um, and so I want to tell you that we're coming to the end of that phase. Now, if I was asking for money from you guys, it would be a little bit different. I'd have to show a whole lot more. But that phase is kind of over now with the end of, phase one, and we've got some updates on that later as that thing shakes out. But as we get more into phase two and into phase three, well, let's talk about phase three in a second. So we get more into phase two, I'm not going to be as upfront and transparent with you guys. A couple reasons for that. Number one, we're creating actual companies that are doing actual projects, and they have, competitive advantages. They have competitors out there in the fields. They've got assets, and we're not the only ones that are owning these things. We've got partners on these projects. And so what we don't want to do is we don't want want to err on the side of full disclosure with you guys and then end up making it more difficult for these projects as we get into phase two to be successful. You guys know we've talked all about downtown digital dollars. We've talked about fair money. And so those things are alive and well right now. And we've had a lot of calls. We've had a lot of progress last couple of days. Pages and pages of notes have come together. Teams have been assembled. Goals have been established. Assets and resources have been allocated. And so we are like full speed ahead on phase two. But I'm not going to talk about phase two in detail like I've talked about, our project with phase one. I told you guys that back during our marathon week 93 that we were going to be a little bit more secretive and hold our cards a little closer to the chest as we get into these, instances and manifestations of our layer two in the marketplace. Because again, these are businesses that we're building, and we intend for these businesses to be valuable. And we know that as these businesses are successful, we're going to start to have more competitors, and we don't want to give away all of our strategies and all of our secrets to those guys. If you want to know what the strategies and secrets are, go back through the old Zoom calls, dig through them, see what you can find. But from this moment forward, I want you guys to know that we're not going to be anywhere near as transparent with what's happening in phase two as we were with phase one. Now, I know that's going to be a bit of a disappointment. Now, there are many people that are involved in phase two. And so you're going to have to get the information kind of secondhand through those people that are involved. And it's not because I want to keep secrets from you guys. It's because, one, I'm tired of the trolls. It's amazing how much kind of damage one idiot can make out there. But when you start saying, hey, we're specifically working on this project in this place with these key stakeholders, one or two trolls pick up the phone and start making a mess of things, and it makes our job much more difficult. And so I'm not interested in making our job any more difficult than it is right now. We need, kind of all the help we can get. We need some quiet time to develop these relationships with the stakeholders in the areas that we're working and building. And again, I'm not going to share all that information with you just to make sure that we are able to do those things without broad interference from whatever weirdos are out there that have decided to make it their life's work to interfere with our ability to be successful. To my benefit, to your benefit, to the benefit of the other people that are cheering for our success. We're going to operate in the realm of phase two much different. But I want you to know that phase two is alive and well. Downtown Digital, Fair Money, we've got a lot of things that have moved forward in those regards, but you're not going to hear about those things from me. I told you that was going to happen a couple weeks ago. And now I want you to know that we've got massive, massive progress, massive inroads, and a lot of great stuff happening. But if you want to learn more about those things, you'll have to pay attention to those websites. Digitaldowntown.com, new domain name there, and also fair.money and other stuff that we'll cook up from time to time. If you want to know who's involved, we'll have that information that we decide to make public shared on those websites. So again, as we get into phase two, don't expect the same level of transparency from us. You guys took a risk. You put some cash in. I appreciate that. I've communicated with you guys along the way as we start getting into phase two and reaching out and building relationships with cities and towns and city councils and economic development boards and chambers of commerce and merchants and businesses. We're not looking for them to get trolled. We're looking for us to be successful and to keep some secrets here so that we've got, an asset, a tangible asset, asset that's based on our intellectual property and our relationships that we're not going to share with the whole world so that they can go out there and either interfere with those things or make a mess of them or compete against us. We want as many people as we can to build on TXC. Obviously, TXC needs to be a reliable and cost-effective place to build, but we're not going to go and give out all of our secrets and strategies. People will have to come up with their own ideas on how they want to build and grow and compete with us in the marketplace should they choose to do that. So again, I don't think it's a deviation off of, the original thing that got us to where we are now, but we definitely want to keep some things a little bit quiet, especially as we go through the current, challenge that we've got on our plate right now. We're just going to be a little more selective. If you want to stay tuned into those other projects, please do, but check out those websites and we'll have information and blogs and resources there so you can stay tuned in. That oh, one last thing, Iscander. We mentioned it a bunch of times on this call. I've got an official Iscander call that is on the schedule for what time is it? It is 9 a.m. Central Time, Thursday morning. Oh, I got Dallas Morning News interview coming up tonight, tomorrow morning. Dallas Morning News. How exciting is that? Keep your fingers crossed on that one. But I've got an Iskander call with all of the Iskander miners, anyone that put money into Iscander, there is a call for you. If you don't have the details, reach out, get the details. I think we were supposed to send out an email with the link, but that'll be 9 a.m. Thursday morning. And that call is going to be to talk with all of the Iskander miners about the status of Iskander. Iskander is online, it's mining, coins are accruing. A lot has changed since we started Iskander. A lot has changed. And look, when we started Iskander, we were concerned about it. We said, look, the biggest challenge we're going to have as we get this thing going is optics. What are we doing with TXC? Are we abandoning TEXITcoin and jumping into this other project? Is this the rug pull moment that we do the exit scam on the one and launch the other? No, Iscander is phase three. We've talked about phase three for a long time. I showed you the video that we put it um, out at the Thailand event back in September, talking about global expansion. And so Iscander is alive, and Iscander is mining, and the Iscander miners are accruing coins. We were not planning on releasing those coins until we had it fully licensed as a digital asset issued under the authority of VARA, the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority in where? Dubai. And so I spent a lot of time in Dubai working with people out there and getting things set up. Well, Dubai is a really tough place to be right now. Dubai spent a long time creating a reputation of awesomeness and safety and all that stuff, and things are a little rough right now in Dubai. And I was there, I was in the Middle East, and I said maybe this is not a really great place for me to be right now. So I jumped on a plane and I went to Singapore, which is where I am now. But the future of what's happening out of Dubai is now uncertain. We've got developers in Dubai that are working on project for us right now on phase two. The future of that is uncertain. You know, we've got money that we've spent for the Crypto Polo Cup and the yacht party that are in Dubai. The future of those events is now uncertain. And so it's extremely frustrating for me. I'm sure it's frustrating for you. But it's caused us to have to kind of pause, take a step back, look at the big picture, given the regulatory stuff, given the marketability stuff, and given the geopolitical stuff. And we're going to talk about all of that Thursday morning with the Iskander miners. And we're going to get together and we're going to decide together what the future of Iskander looks like. And so we're not doing anything right now on Iskander until we have a conversation with the Iskander miners on Thursday morning. If you are not yet an Iscander miner, then that call is not for you, but it is for all the Iscander miners to jump on a call, have a heart to heart, talk about all the stuff that's transpired since we started the project, and decide what the future holds for you and your relationship with Iscander. So that is what's going down on Thursday morning. Again, guys, we talked about this from day one. The world is in flux. These are strange times to be living through. I hope that you guys are all staying safe. I hope that you guys are all finding a way to get through these challenging times. I know that things are stressful in the TEXITcoin realm with the changes that have happened. I know things are stressful in the realm of the world and everything else that's going on that was already in motion that has nothing to do with us, that's totally outside of our control. But man, it sure feels like the world's picking on us right now. Um, we sponsored a big event in Puerto Vallarta, and Acapulco was a big event. Pierre and I were supposed to be down there. What was it? February 16th to the 20th or something like that. And then all of a sudden, mayhem breaks out in Puerto Vallarta. And so it sure feels like the world has got like Bobby Gray and TEXITcoin locked in its sights right now. Of course, that's not the case, but it feels like that. Um, but we're going to talk about how all those things affect and impact Iskander on Thursday morning. And like I said, together we're going to decide what the future holds for Iskander. And so if you're an Iskander miner, please tune into that on Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time. Hopefully, you've got the link. Okay, so I think that's it for our calls. I've got 17 questions right now. A couple of them have been answered. Thank you to Gage and my other folks that are out there helping moderate and answer questions. And here we go. So,
Just me and Benjamin answering questions.
how are Dubai assets going? I see a couple explosions in Dubai. Amazon AW Center hit. I don't know exactly what the damage report is from Dubai, but I know that the people in Dubai are dealing with some strange stuff. Like I said, Dubai spent a long time convincing the world that it was a safe place to be, even though it's surrounded by places like Iraq and Iran and Yemen and all these other places that have been just embroiled in in terrible stuff for a long time. My laundry lady is here. No need, thank you. I think she's bringing me laundry. Hold on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Yes, it was a laundry delivery. So I don't know exactly what's happening in Dubai. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the people that are in Dubai. Again, we will have a conversation on Thursday morning for the future of Iscander, which was to be headquartered out of Dubai. All right, will we find out who is behind the case? Will we find out who is behind the case? I'm not sure what case you're talking about. Will there be an emergency hearing to release assets while we continue through litigation process? We have our attorneys working on whatever assets we have frozen right now. We got a couple bank accounts that are frozen, and there's some sizable chunks of cash in there. Um, and they're not frozen through a court order. The bank just kind of voluntarily froze money. So we're gonna have our attorneys work through that. Bob says, "Hey, Bobby, is the plan for DDD still a go? If so, when will you be back in the States to spearhead it? It seems like that will be Texit's best chance to be realized as a legitimate crypto project." You're absolutely right. We talked about that a little bit, maybe last week or the week before, in terms of utility. You know, what is crypto? Is it a speculative asset for gambling, or is it a tool for trade? Is it a tool for governance? Is it a tool for, apps and dApps and DeFi stuff? I look at crypto exclusively as a utility. We let the other guys worry about the gambling stuff, and we're building a real currency that connects people in a marketplace and allows them to trade freely and extremely inexpensively. That's why Downtown Digital is a critical part of our project. It's always been that way. It was never supposed to be just an opportunity for us to make money and gamble on speculative assets. There are plenty of other meme coins and fun things out there where you can go and gamble if that's what you want to do, mess around with, volatile coins. So yes, Downtown Digital is incredibly important for our project, and it is 100% a go. The people that are working on that right now can tell you firsthand that we have had many calls about it. We've got many strategies coming together, and they're all very good. And one of the things we talked about on the call the other day with Downtown Digital as we put the team together for that is, some good news. And I'll share that good news with you. You know, Good news number one with Downtown Digital is there's nothing illegal or questionable about it. We're not talking about securities. We're not talking about, crypto, even crypto at all. We're talking about, a community currency. And there's nothing illegal or questionable about community currencies. We've seen lots and lots and lots of them out there already in the marketplace that we'll be competing against. So there's nothing revolutionary about the project that we're undertaking with Downtown Digital. It's not like we're doing something that no one's ever done before, that we're just going to cross our fingers and wait to see what the government's response is to it. This is a very simple thing that's not revolutionary. But we do have a business model for it. We have a business plan and we have a budget. To make that a reality. So Downtown Digital is 100% a go. I wish I was there to help. I wish I was there to be a part of it, and I will be at some point. At what point? Well, you got to remember, I came out here to get phase three going, and that became incredibly difficult when things started getting weird in the Middle East. We've got events scheduled for April. We've got Paris Blockchain Week. We've got event going on in Cannes. Can? Cans? I don't know. I'm not rich enough to say it the right way. We've got, stuff happening in Europe and in the Middle East. And so I came out here to work on that stuff. Now, as I refocus, yeah, I'm spending a lot more time on Downtown Digital, which is really great because it's really important to me and I'm really good at the Downtown Digital stuff. But where I will be for the foreseeable future is still up in the air. I want to be back in Texas. I want to be with my family, but I also want to be in a position to be as effective as possible for our success and our project. Today, we're not dealing with criminal stuff. That's great. Maybe it's because I'm not there. Maybe if I flew back and got off the plane, they'd be there to arrest me at the gate. I don't know. But what's important right now is that I'm continuing to work hard and successfully for our mission. And I'm going to do that wherever in the world I have the highest likelihood of being successful with that work. And so, for right now, I'm in Singapore and I'm planning on being here for a little while. Plenty of work that I'm doing extremely effectively from Singapore. And we have an office here as well. Has McKinney definitively said, yes, we are still a go for early June? No, I sent a letter off to McKinney, and also the Texas Music Revolution folks. Again, guys, we share names and people, and I'm sure the trolls are already sending emails warning McKinney and Texas Music Revolution, don't do business with these scam artists. That's one of the reasons we're going to be a little more quiet, less transparent with moving forward on Downtown Digital. We have not heard an answer back from our partners in McKinney. We assume at this point that it is still a go and we are still under contract and have paid money to participate in that event. And so we are still working hard every day to follow through and deliver on that. But we have not heard definitively. Jay says, if there are no criminal charges, why are you staying out of the country? You've indicated you're staying overseas, waiting to see what happens. Just answered that a moment ago. So are we able to sell TXT seats outside of Texas? Nikki, we're not doing anything at all in terms of sales right now. In fact, you've probably seen the message come through from New Zealand saying, hey, this TexitCoin thing, it wasn't a cease and desist in New Zealand, but it was a, we're warning you to steer clear of TexitCoin. Did you get contact lenses? No, no, I did not. But I've had some coffee. My eyes are working okay at the moment. Thanks for caring about me, Coach Bud. Let's see. Amy says, can you explain why the coin price on Explorer reads 94? No, I can't. I will send a message just to the developer right now because I noticed that as well. Let's send a message to the developer. Hey, can you get the price API updated on Explorer.txt? It's showing the wrong price. Thanks. Okay. Easy one. No, I cannot explain. Hopefully that'll get quickly fixed. Are you ever going to look into installing mines in different states like Florida? Yes, I am. Why? A couple different reasons. First of all, redundancy. Second of all, merge mining ability, cross mining ability. Third of all, is because of trust. And so, we were building this thing originally for Texas, and then all of a sudden it spread. We had a lot of people join us from Florida. We had a lot of people join us from Denver. We had a lot of people join us from California. And so we're seeing this community grow far outside the land of Texas. And so we want to build mines where the community is. Why? Because mine is trust. If I plunk down a $3 million container full of ASICs and immersion cooling oil, that's a demonstration of trust. And so, we said exclusively mined in Texas, but we're seeing other coins pop up, like Iscander, that, give us the ability to set up mines outside of that area as well. And so, ever, possibly, will those be mining TXC for profit? No, that will still always go through the TEXITcoin mining pool that we've got established and the rules that we have established. But it's possible that we'll have mines outside of Texas, places like Florida or the other side of the world to give us, a lot more redundancy. When will we be able to see our Iscander coins? Tune in Thursday morning for the answer to that question. Can we get a financial update? Are the accounts still frozen? Yes, bank accounts are still frozen. What kind of working capital is available for day-to-day operations? I'm not going to give you guys too much in terms of exact numbers on that. I share it with my team, and we share it most of the time with the Texas Rangers. But again, we're going to start keeping some things closer to the chest as we deal with the challenges that we're working through. Lonnie says, how are we looking on API for layer 2 connectivity? Man, I've been asking for it from the developers for a long time. They know it's a top priority. The last couple of weeks has been dealing with this hacker thing and the block upgrade or the node upgrade. Then we'll get into the mining consistency thing. Then we'll get into merge mining multiple coins. Then we will circle back around and start getting the API stuff done for the layer 2 tokens. If I can get it sooner than that, if it's easy for them to produce it, then I'll get it to you guys as soon as we can. When will the transformer be here for Victoria? I don't know. They said something like 6 months, and we're a month into that. So it could be another 5 months on that. I understand what you're saying about phase 2, but how do we assess if we want to invest more in TXC token? I hope that makes sense. Well, guys, remember, look, we're not investing. You're going to have to make those decisions based on the information that we share. We've shared a lot of information, some of it to our detriment. And so as we move forward, you're going to have to evaluate the information that we make publicly available as to whether or not it's a good idea to continue to buy TXC off of open public markets. Digitaldowntown.com and fair.money, Coach Bud. Fair.money. No .com on the end of that. Fair.money. Love that domain name. My rapid reward status was enabled till recently, but since we had to stop adding miners, it eventually went from enabled to disabled. When phase one is eventually restarted and we were able to start signing miners again, will our rapid reward status be enabled to the status it was? Yeah, whatever it was when we left off is what it'll go back to. Um, and again, we've got a big call on Thursday for Iscander. Part of Iscander is going to be part of figuring out phase one, because the two are related. Iscander currently available to U.S. citizens? I don't think so. Are you coming to Australia? No, I'm not coming to Australia. Good decision on less transparency, says Mark. We'll make the splash of the press releases when we announce the new live projects more dynamic and exciting. Yes, that's very true. So, um, can we buy Iskander seats? I don't think so, especially not if you're in Cairns, Australia. I guess so. I don't know. I thought Cairns was in France. Oh, I know. Maybe that's, I don't know, something different. Has someone already asked about back office for Iskander? I may have missed it. Yeah, we'll cover that on Thursday's call. Tune in on Thursday's call. But back to the transparency thing real quick, guys. Like, we're at a point now where we've got real business strategies, and real players, new stakeholders coming in. We're going to keep those things quiet. We're going to wait for results, signed contracts, that kind of thing before we make that stuff publicly available. You're welcome to evaluate that information, and if you want to pick up a handful of coins on the open market, then you're welcome to do that. But at this point right now, we're 30% of the way to the goal for building the mine. I would love to get to 100% for a lot of reasons, but at the moment right now, I'm very happy with where we are. Once we work out a couple of these bugs with our network performance, then I'm going to be a lot happier and hopefully even profitably mining Doge and Litecoin and Bells and other Scrypt coins like Pepe coin. I think we're going to be able to merge mine Pepe coin. Won't that be exciting? But in the meantime, guys, I want you to remember I'm working hard for our success. I'm extremely productive right now. I'm very safe right now. I really appreciate all your kind words of encouragement, and your concerns. They are very well received, but unnecessary, guys. I'm doing fine. I'm over here. I'm in a place where I used to live for years, so I'm very comfortable getting around. I know a couple people and places around town to keep myself busy and occupied, and emotionally, okay, and productive. Most important of all, it's like, what did you do? Did you go out drinking last night? No, man, I worked. I was on Zoom calls. I had back to back to back calls with miners and with developers and with anyone and everyone to keep our project moving forward. That's kind of my favorite thing. Ask my family, what does dad like to do? He likes to work. I'm in my happy place right now. I'm extremely productive. I'm extremely concerned for our world. I'm sad about what's been going down, not just how it affects us, but how it affects the lives of other people all over the planet. I am not real happy about what's happening right now. I don't think what's happening right now is particularly good for mankind. But what do I know? Just a guy that's concerned about honest money. So that's my issue. That's my focus. I'll let the other people worry about the other stuff. And I will continue to work hard on TEXITcoin becoming the currency of towns across Texas, across the US, and anywhere and everywhere else people are willing to listen about how important honest money is. That's my job. That's what I do. I'm still doing it day in, day out, and I know many of you are as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you again to everyone for tuning in. Got a couple more questions that popped up here last minute before I say good night. How much are the Transformers? I think we paid 85 or 90,000 for the one that we had to buy for Victoria. The good news is the Transformer that we have there now, we get to resell, so that has some sort of value. Need the link for the Iscander miner on Thursday. Guys, I sent you all the information for the Zoom. Please get that bulk emailed out to the Iscander miners right away, so that everyone that needs to be on that call can join us for that call. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in. About an hour. Was it an hour or is it 2 hours? What time does this call start? 10. It's 11. So about an hour for tonight's call. I think we covered a lot of stuff, and I'm looking forward to talking again in the future with our updates as we have them. Thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate all of you, and I hope that you have a wonderful and safe night. My love for my family to all of you guys out there. TEXITcoin, we got this. All right, guys, have a great night.